Hello, and welcome to Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. My name is Mary Bear Shannon. I am a reference librarian at the Haverford Township Free Library. And again, this is Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. We have been doing weekly shows since early April, talking about cooking and recipes, doing demonstrations. We do this in coordination with our Facebook page that is part of the Haverford Township Free Library. It's also called Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. You can easily find the Facebook page just by searching your Facebook or finding it from the Haverford Township Free Library page. The Kickin' Cooking Quarantine Facebook group is a great place to share recipes, share pictures of what you have been cooking, and also get expertise, especially about substitutions. We all know that we can't always get the things that we're looking for in the grocery stores. It's getting a little bit better, but there are still things that sometimes we don't have, and we're not going to the grocery store as often as we did. So think about joining the Facebook group Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. So I also wanted to tell you all that we are now doing curbside. We've been doing it since June 15th. So you can place your order by going to the library's website and submitting an online form, or you can call us. We have expanded our curbside pickup hours. It was just Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. We are now doing evening hours. Our first evening hour starts tonight until 8 o'clock, and so you can place orders and pick up orders until 8 o'clock Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. Thursdays, we are now going to do curbside until 6 p.m. And then Friday, it'll be 5. After the 4th of July holiday, we will be adding Saturday hours. So we know that not everybody is able to pick up during our 10 to 4 hours. And some people are they work, and so evening hours and weekend hours are the preferable time. So we're glad to be able to extend those hours. The other great news is that our catalog is now working. When we were doing curbside pickup, people were only able to order things that were at our library, the Haverford Township Free Library. The good news is that you can now use our hold service through our catalog, so you can order books that are from other libraries. So that is starting as of today, and we are really excited to have our hold service back and our access to our entire catalog throughout the 26 libraries for the Delaware County Library System. Again, my name is Mary Bear Shannon. This is Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. I am broadcasting from my home in Havertown. We've been doing this since the beginning of April, and we have been doing it pretty much every Monday. And I'm glad to have people join me either live or watch our program after it has been live. It is always available in video form, so you can not only find it on Facebook, but you can also find all of our videos on YouTube. We transfer all of our videos over to our YouTube channel, so you can subscribe to the Haverford Township Free Library YouTube channel and see all the programs that we're doing virtually. So again, welcome to Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. My name is Mary Bear Shannon, and today we're going to talk a little bit about something that I know a little bit about, which is Southern cooking. I'm going to do some recipes that are from a cookbook that is from a Southerner, so we're going to talk about that. Before we get started, I had a couple of quotes about Southern cooking that I thought I would share. just a couple of weeks ago in one of my reading with reference review videos. I reviewed a kind of an older title, but it's one of my favorites, which is Looking for Alaska by John Green. And this is a quote from Looking for Alaska, and he's talking about going to boarding school in Alabama. And he said, "You can say a lot of bad things about Alabama, but you can't say Alabamans as a people are unduly afraid of deep fryers." In that first week at the Creek, which was his school, the cafeteria served fried chicken, chicken fried steak, and fried okra, which marked my first foray into the delicacy that is the fried vegetable. The other quote I love is from Steel Magnolias. "Sweet tea is the house wine of the South," and I know that Southerners love their sweet tea. We up here in the North tend to like ours unsweetened, and then we sweeten it, but they sweeten it as soon as they make it. So so I love that quote. The other quote is from Mark Twain. The North thinks it knows how to make cornbread, but this is a gross superstition. Perhaps no bread in the world is quite as good as Southern cornbread, and perhaps no bread in the world is quite as bad as the Northern imitation of it. So my roots are from the South. Both my parents are from Virginia, and that's where I was born. And I have distinct memories of the cooking that both my parents either cooked or loved. And so some of the things that I remember are my mother making cornbread and my dad who loved fried chicken. That was one of his favorites, and he was quite good at it. I think I talked about that either last time or 2 times ago, that my dad made very good fried chicken, but good Southerners make gravy with their fried chicken, and his gravy was terrible. And so my stepmother always made the gravy, and my dad always made the fried chicken. Some other Southern dishes that I remember, of course, sweet tea, and also chocolate chess pie. And I have the recipe for it. I have never made it myself. It's quite good. I'm not exactly sure why they call it chess, Chess, like the game, but it was very good, and I really like it. And I always like it when both my aunt and my mom have made chess pies for me. And chocolate seems to be the one that I recall the most. Of course, most Southerners love ham, and I am no exception. I love ham, and always. In fact, I really prefer like the Easter dinner better than Thanksgiving because it has ham. So that's definitely one of my favorites. Some things that my mother did not make that are from the South, but I still really love, are grits, hush puppies, biscuits, and of course barbecue. And really, depending on where you get your barbecue, really depends on what kind of barbecue you're going to get. Of course, I love North Carolina barbecue, but there is some amazing barbecue from Memphis, as well as Kansas City and Texas. I've had a couple of different types of barbecue. I tend to like North Carolina barbecue, and I do like barbecue that's pork, but some people really like barbecue that's beef. And then, of course, if you're from North Carolina, it depends on what part of North Carolina you're from and what kind of barbecue that you like. Farther west is much more tomato-based. Eastern North Carolina is very vinegar-based. And then you have what's called, I think it's called Piedmont, but I'm not sure, but it's, Lexington barbecue, which is the center part of the state, which is kind of a mix of vinegar and tomato-based. I think I probably like the Lexington the best. So anyway, one of the foods, all my grandparents lived in the South, so I always laugh that at one time when I was quite young, I thought that all grandparents lived in Virginia, which is where all my grandparents lived. And I remember being very surprised one day to find out from somebody, because I grew up here in this part of the woods, when they said their grandparents didn't live in Virginia, because all mine did. But when we used to go visit my grandparents in Virginia, the thing I always loved that my grandmother always got for me was pimento cheese. And it is one of those things that I do see in the grocery store here, but it's just does not have the following that it has in the South. I think, you know, most of the pimento cheese here is okay, but I do think Southern pimento cheese is quite good. So the problem is then how do you get your hands on pimento cheese if you don't live in the South? So you have to make it, and so I am going to attempt to make it today. So what do you eat pimento cheese with? You put it on, well, in the past you would put it on 2 slabs of white bread. I use whole wheat now, but those were distinct memories of eating pimento cheese on white bread when I went to visit my grandmother, and she always made sure she had a tub of it for me when I came to visit her in Virginia. And the other thing I'm going to make today, which is also, I think, a Southern treat, is Southern in nature, is cheese straws. And I am going to cook both of these recipes from Trisha Yearwood's first cookbook called Georgia Cooking in Oklahoma Kitchen. Recipes from my family to yours. And my cookbook club, if you're not familiar with the cookbook club, we've been meeting for about 5 years. We all we select a cookbook and we all cook recipes from that cookbook, and then bring it to share. Of course, we're not meeting in person at the moment. We are meeting virtually online, and our next meeting is going to be July 13th. But we did this cookbook a couple of years ago, and I made, I'm pretty sure I made the cheese straws, and I think I made the pimento cheese. I had both recipes in my recipe index, not in my little brown wooden box that I showed last time, but I did have it. I did have a copy of it, so I thought I'd make those today for you. So we are headed over to the demonstration. Again, my name is Mary Bear Shannon. I am a reference librarian at the Haverford Township Free Library, and this is Kickin' Cooking in Quarantine. So let's go over and give this a try. Okay, so here we are over in my kitchen. Of course, I have like every cabinet open at the moment, so pardon me. So I think we're going to start with the pimento spread. The pimento cheese spread, and this is a really simple recipe. It has 3 ingredients. It has, and I'm going to point this down, it has cheese, and I have here, I'm actually having this recipe because this is a fairly large recipe. So the recipe calls for 3 10-ounce bricks of cheddar cheese, sharp. So I have actually just I've halved this, so I have about 15 ounces here instead of 30, and I have shredded this. I did this in my food processor, and it's fairly finely shredded. The other thing that you're going to need to get is pimentos, and you can get it at the grocery store. This is asking for 2 7-ounce containers of pimentos, sliced or diced, and then drain them. Again, they're in these little tiny jars. I couldn't find a 7-ounce, but I could find 2 4-ounce, so that's what I used. You drain them, and then it says to puree them in your food processor. So this is really kind of a puree at this point. So we're going to actually put this in with the cheese, and then we are going to mix this all together. It does ask for a either you can mix this with a mixer. I'm just going to mix this with a wooden spoon and integrate this all together. It's going to kind of take on a more of a reddish orange. It had a kind of more a deeper reddish orange hue here. And so that's pretty much mixed together now. Again, this is just about 15 ounces of shredded cheddar cheese. I used sharp because I like sharp. And then about 7 ounces of pimentos that you drain and then puree in your food processor. And then the last ingredient, again, this is a really simple recipe, is mayonnaise. And again, I have my handy dandy Knorr Pro. I had one similar to this from Pampered Chef for years and years. I love it because you basically put it in. The original recipe calls for a cup. I'm halving this, so this is half a cup. And then you just push on the bottom and it comes out with no muss, no fuss. So again, love this as a tool in my kitchen. Okay, and so then we are going to mix this all together with the mayonnaise and the cheddar cheese and the pimentos, and that is it. This is a super simple recipe. You know, pimento cheese is actually not that cheap in the grocery store, so I'm always surprised why I don't make it more. But I really like this a lot. And again, this is a great sandwich spread. You can also use this, you know, if you wanted to do hors d'oeuvres and do like little toasts and put the pimento cheese on the top. I think that would be great too. It's great with crackers as well. But I think what most Southerners know how to do is eat a pimento cheese sandwich. So that is that, and that's the way I like it as well. So again, really simple, and I'm going to put this recipe on the website when I'm done. It'll be in the comments section with a picture of this as well. So that's pimento cheese. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to do our cheese straws. Again, this is from the Trisha Yearwood. Gotta get the title again. It's the Georgia, no, I don't know what it is again. Georgia Cooking in an Oklahoma Kitchen, Recipes from My Family to Yours by Trisha Yearwood. The Cookbook Club did this a number of, about 2-3 years ago, and everyone seemed to really like it a lot. So, okay, so cheese straws. We're gonna start, I've done a little bit of pre-prep here, and it's gonna start with 3 10-ounce bricks of sharp cheddar cheese. And it should be at room temperature, so it should be, you know, warm, because it needs to be nice and soft. And the next thing you need is 2 sticks of butter, so 1 cup of butter softened. And then I'll show you what I did. This is the cheese and the butter. They were super soft. I even actually put it in the oven on warm for about 5 minutes just to make sure it was super soft. And then I actually used my hand beater, although Trisha Yearwood calls for a standing mixer because it's a little sturdier and has sturdier beaters than mine. And you basically beat this together. Now it's not easy, and I did find that my beater was, my mixer was working hard. So I think probably a standing mixer would be better for this. But you basically whip it until it's almost like whipped cream, which is what I have done. This is super soft and super easy at this point. And that's good because you're actually going to add flour to this now. So it's going to end up being kind of a stiff dough. Now again, I do mine a little different than hers. She eventually puts hers in a cookie gun and makes little cheese straws. I don't have a cookie gun and I don't particularly like to work with them, so I'm actually going to make this a bit of a dough, and then I'm going to put them on a baking sheet. And I like to do a little twist to mine, so I'll show you how I do that. And then I will bake them off for about 20 minutes. So the next thing we need, and I've actually kind of pre-done this as well, is I have mixed, it calls for 4 cups of flour, but it says to start with 3 cups, and you sift the flour with 2 teaspoons of salt and about 1/8 of a teaspoon of black pepper. Now she calls for cayenne. I don't put cayenne pepper in here. Nobody in my family really eats hot, and I just don't care for it. But the recipe that I will include on the in the comment section will have her recipe. And if you'd like to add it, you can, but I left it out. And then the last thing is just kind of a dash of garlic powder, which I put in there, and then I mixed it all together. And then I am just going to slowly add stuff to the cheese and butter mixture, and we will and I will add a little bit and then stir. So we're going to do that, and we're just going to add a little bit at a time, and we're going to mix. Eventually, you just want it to get it manageable so that you can make straws for your cooking sheet. And so I'm just going to keep adding. I may need, it calls for 4. This is 3. I do have kind of a reserve cup of flour that I may need, that I will use. I do just want it to get it to the consistency where I can, at least for me, instead of putting it in a cookie gun, roll them out as a dough. Okay, so we're just adding a little bit more flour each time. Again, this has salt and pepper and a dash of garlic. These are really good. I mean, it's almost half dough, half flour, half cheese, and kind of a the oil, the grease, and so it is. It's quite good, and it's quite cheesy, which is, I think, why it is such a favorite. Okay, just get the last of this, and I think I'm going to need more of my flour. So a good thing I have a backup here. And what we want to do is just be able to work with it without it sticking to our hands. And I think this is still a little too. So I'm just going to add a little bit more of this to get it to the point where it's manageable. And this was also something that I grew up eating. I always liked these. My mom always made them. Sometimes she made them with Parmesan cheese too, which was also good. The cheddar is always good, but the Parmesan was good too. I could think of lots of different cheeses you could make it this with. You could make it with Gruyere, Parmesan, as I mentioned. I think they'd all be really good. They'd all have a different flavor and character to them. All right, I think we're going to use all of this flour, and we'll see if it actually works in my hands to get this on the baking sheet. So, and it's getting fairly stiff here, so that's good. It is going to be kind of oily because there is so much cheese and there is so much butter in this. Definitely not a low-cal snack. I think these are good for hors d'oeuvres. I know that Trisha Yearwood talks about doing this for like showers and wedding showers and baby showers. I could definitely see that. So basically what we want to do is we want to get this so we can work with it. I have oiled this. I don't know if it necessarily needs to be oiled. And I'm basically just making these, and again, this is not, I'm just going to roll these on this sheet, and you're going to see this. And what I do is I kind of flatten it out, and then I kind of twist it. That's what I remember from my childhood, is having, instead of a cookie gun, having kind of a twist. So I'm going to keep working here for a little bit, and then we won't do the whole thing here, but we'll do a tray of them. And again, we're just kind of rolling them out. This reminds me of like Play-Doh when we were kids, making little snakes, and then just kind of flattening it out, and then kind of twisting it. Again, I don't think these are. It's kind of, you have to be gentle with them because it is definitely it's a lot of cheese. So again, we're going to roll these out. Like the Play-Doh snakes from our childhood, and then we're going to twist them. I'm going to twist it like that. And when you get when you do the whole thing, then you can bake these off. It's 20 minutes at 325, so it's not terribly high. And then I'm just gonna see if I can. I don't think these are gonna rise. There's really no leavener in it, so I don't think they have to be too far apart. It looks like maybe I lost my video, but hopefully you guys are still there. I can't see my my video, but it looks like my camera is still going. So if anybody is still there, you can let me know whether you can actually see me. So that would be good. But again, we're just twisting these so that we can cook them. Okay, twist these a little bit more. So anyway, I will finish this up, and we'll come back over here. That is pimento cheese and cheese straws. These are things from my my memories as a child, and things that we cooked from the Trisha Yearwood book about that from the Cookbook Club. So anyway, that's it for today. Again, just make sure that just a reminder that we are doing curbside pickup, and our catalog is now working. And we really do hope that soon we'll be able to open up our doors to have people come into our building. We want to make that as safe a process for both our staff as well as our patrons. So thank you for joining me today, and have a great day.